This is the Fantasy Roadshow.
Heyo, welcome in back to another episode of the Fantasy Roadshow. We are your hosts. You can call me Truck. I'm joined as always by Shane O'Mac. You can find me on Twitter at fantasy_trucker. You can find him on Twitter at smccormick_ff. Shane, we are here. It is week 14, the final week of the regular season. Playoffs begin next week. This is where we all make our money. This is where all of our hard work throughout the season pays off. Are you in the playoffs or what?
Yeah, it's an interesting week. So I've got all my leagues except one. I'm locked into the playoffs. So one, you know how every Sunday you usually ask me, okay, you got any questions about your lineup? I'm like, no, I'm pretty set. Well,
Yeah.
That one league I've got multi-layer questions at the end of this episode to go.
Okay,
over.
great. Well, I'm happy we're here then. I'm excited, man. This is I think I'm in the playoffs in every one of my leagues. So I'm looking pretty good. So this is a crucial week. Obviously, you don't want to lose the week for the playoffs. So big money right here. So thank you all for joining us. If you have any questions, as always, feel free to chime in at any time and we'll get them answered for you right away. All right. Well, this episode is brought to you by Rule One Proteins. Go to www.rule1proteins.com. Enter promo code ROADIES40 at checkout for 40% off. That's ROADIES40 for 40% off. Now we got that out of the way. Let's talk about Week 14, man. We got a couple big games today. We got the Cowboys and the Eagles. We got the Bills and the Chiefs. Like, it's going to be a great week of football. I cannot wait.
Yeah, it's a good one. You got to lead in with Bills Chiefs. They got the 3:00, and then the night here, the Eagles Cowboys. And then noon is even going to be some interesting, matchups, really. So
yeah, definitely. Well, we got word that Kenneth Walker's playing this week. I thought he was going to be out another week.
Yeah.
We thought we were going to get Charbonnet for the 3 weeks, but turns out we're not. Kenneth Walker's back. Taking on San Francisco, though. This is going to be a tough matchup for him. I would be worried with him coming off injury. I have him on a roster, and I'm currently starting James Cook, Breece Hall, and Devon Achane as my 3 running backs ahead of Kenneth Walker. So, but my main question with this lineup, would you start James Cook or Zay Flowers? They're both kind of in that same category, and it's a flex PPR spot.
I like Cook. I just like the usage once Joe Brady has taken over that he's gotten. I think he's making an effort to try to get him more carries, more touches. I like, even though the Chiefs are a good defense, I like that matchup. In right now, and there's a couple of games we're gonna have to watch this on, but right now it's looking like that Ravens-Rams game is going to be a downpour mess of a game.
Really?
Huge rain already this morning. Expected throughout the game is what they're saying right now. So
big game on the ground then.
That's what I'm thinking. That's my takeaway.
Yeah, usually that's what that translates to. So yeah, hopefully big day for Kyron Williams. I have him in a couple lineups, and we'll see with the this if we get any more information on this Baltimore running back situation with Keaton Mitchell and Gus Edwards. We saw Gus Edwards originally getting a ton of touchdowns. I think he had like 9 in 5 games, and then all of a sudden Keaton Mitchell gets a bunch of carries. So I'll be interested to see how that plays out.
Yeah, and I think if it is kind of a wet, sloppy game, it lends me to feel a little more confident. If you're a Gus Edwards owner, maybe that's more of a Gus Edwards game than Keaton Mitchell.
Yeah, very true. Very true. How's the Discord? How's the Discord popping off this morning?
Yeah, there was some a couple of questions yesterday and this morning. So that's what I was trying to look here. Okay. Tight end question, Isaiah Likely or Brevin? So we've got
Brevin
Likely,
Jordan or Isaiah Likely.
Yeah, Brevin Jordan.
Yeah, I mean, with that news on the game, Cole should be here talking tight ends. That's what he does. So, but yeah, I'd probably go. I'd probably still go Isaiah Likely, over Brevin Jordan. And I say that doesn't the Jets are really bad against the tight ends, aren't they?
They are, but that is the other huge weather game that is going to be impacted today too. Is Jets Browns, heavy winds, heavy rains.
Yeah, so both terrible situations for those tight ends. Yeah, I think I would go. I think I would go Isaiah Likely.
Yeah,
I don't know what's telling me that. I liked what I saw from him last week, his yak and stuff. So I would just go with Isaiah Likely and hope for the best. What about you?
I think so too. Like, I don't know. I haven't done a lot of analysis into when Zach Wilson played for the Jets, but I wonder if I know that that game is probably going to be more low scoring than anything. So Brevin Jordan, I don't know if Houston puts up a ton of points. So there's a lot of scoring opportunities. So if there's not a lot of scoring opportunities, I don't know in that weather, if he gets very many points. So I probably would go with the main full-time playing more snaps guy and Likely also.
Yeah, absolutely. He's going to be out there the entire time. So, and they like him over there. Brevin Jordan could have a good game, but it's just totally random to me. All right. Do you like Jaden Reed more or Dalton Kincaid? Christian Watson is out. So Jaden Reed against the Giants or Dalton Kincaid against Kansas City?
I think I'm going to lead Reed. I think if Watson is for sure out, I think I'm going to lean Reed in that one. I think I also saw it. I'm hoping it doesn't make a big impact, but Dawson Knox is back and playing today.
Yeah, that's noteworthy, right?
So it's something to watch if it's just a little downtick in targets and catches, maybe. So given those two factors, I'd probably go Reed.
Yeah, he's who I currently have, and just wanted to gauge your opinion on that.
Yeah.
All right. Well, most of my teams are kind of set. Like a lot of them are so deep that I don't really have many other options. You know who screwed me this week? Isaiah Pacheco.
Yeah.
So what's going on with him? Did you hear about anything in depth, or what's happened?
So what's funny is, so he missed practice Wednesday, and then he missed practice on Thursday. So 2 days. When you miss 2 days in a row, it's kind of a red flag. So, and I went in on Thursday night when I saw he missed a couple of practices, and I picked him up in a couple of leagues because I just had a feeling maybe after 2 missed practices, this was something bigger than what they were letting on to have. And then Friday broke where they ruled him out. And not only did they rule him out, they said they wouldn't rule out this being a multi-week injury since it was the same shoulder.
Yeah, he's not being placed on IR, so it should be anywhere between the length of the entire playoffs.
Yeah.
We'll see there. We might get him back for that championship game if you're lucky, but yeah, that's tough. And to me, they're saying he's going to split carries with Jerick McKinnon. Jerick McKinnon is who I think I would want here, especially because the wide receivers are having such a tough time. We saw last year, Jerick McKinnon had more touchdowns than Devontae Adams.
Mm-hmm.
He had more touchdowns than Justin Jefferson. I think he had 9 touchdowns on the season. So he could look to throw the ball to Jerick McKinnon a lot more if he's on the field,
Yeah, that's what my brother, he's in the league with me, and he was pretty ticked off. I grabbed Edwards-Helaire, and I just told him go grab McKinnon. I couldn't grab both of them. And it's really so for this week in one league, I was thinking about playing Edwards-Helaire. Is why I picked him up over McKinnon, since McKinnon was coming off of his own injury, hasn't played for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
But if you're looking for the rest of the playoffs and next week, yeah. I mean, I think the last 5 games last year, McKinnon was a top 10 running back, if I remember correctly.
Absolutely, he was.
So
we can see a repeat of that now, now that the opportunity is there. All right, there's another interesting thing coming out. I saw over the week, Chargers Have you heard about what's going on over there?
Yeah, they'll maybe more carries for Joshua Palmer. They want to get
Joshua Kelly.
I mean Joshua
But,
Kelly.
I
Yeah,
was going to say Josh Palmer isn't getting
no,
any carries.
Joshua
But
Kelly.
yeah, they said the Chargers will be splitting carries today between Austin Eckler, Josh Kelly, and Isaiah Spiller, and the team will be expected to ride the hot hand. So, man, such a slap in the face to Austin Eckler, who has done. I mean, last year he broke the team record for receptions. I think he had 107 receptions last year. So, to me, if you're having troubles with drops and you're having decimated at wide receiver, throw the ball to Austin Eckler 10 times a game. You know what I mean? Get him open in the passing game. And I think, but I don't know. That's just me. I'm not a coach. I'm not a offensive coordinator. I'm just a idiot with a microphone. So, I have a disgusting question for you, Shane. Absolutely disgusting. Jalen Guyton or Khalil Herbert?
Oof. Okay, so we got Chargers
Jalen Guyton versus Denver.
Yep.
Or Khalil Herbert versus Detroit. Both not good matchups.
No. And honestly, I can't remember what Herbert's touches were 2 weeks ago.
I got it right here.
They played the Vikings.
6 carries, 2 targets, 2 receptions.
Oh, yikes.
4 yards per carry, though.
I mean, I was first going to lean towards Guyton, honestly. But then I was thinking in my head, like, Surtain's not going to probably follow Keenan Allen into the slot, right? So he's going to probably stick on the outside. Does that mean he sticks maybe 50% of the time, maybe Guyton gets Surtain and the other 50% Surtain's on Quentin Johnston?
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like Surtain would shadow Keenan. No?
Think he'd follow? I don't know if he followed.
I think he would
just
for the sheer volume that he gets. I mean, he gets he can get anywhere from 10 to 15 targets a game. You know what I mean? He's the only guy that that Chargers team offense runs through Keenan Allen.
If that's the case, yeah, I think I'd lean Guyton if that's the case, actually. Like, I don't know what Chicago's going to do, honestly, on the ground.
Well, Deontay Foreman is active. He's playing today.
Oh, so we got all 3 running backs.
All 3 running backs will be playing today.
That's a disaster.
Yeah.
And I mean, Guyton so the last game for the Chargers and Guyton was a nasty weather. It's hard to go off of that, but this is going to be, in nice weather, indoors. My lean is Guyton, especially if it's PPR league. Yeah.
Okay. Derek Carr's playing. Absolutely crazy. We talked about he was in concussion protocol, wasn't he?
Yeah, concussion, and he's got an AC shoulder joint sprain.
He has zero injury designation going into today. Wild. Nathan, what's going on, buddy? Welcome in. Which 2 to start in standard format? Gross. Upgrade to PPR, man. PPR is standard. James Cook, Mixon, Eckler, Aaron Jones, or Moss. Okay. What do we got here? So James Cook, Mixon, Eckler, Aaron Jones, Moss. I like James Cook. And is it crazy that I like Moss?
Well, I don't think it's crazy. I actually kind of like the 2 running backs playing each other. I like Moss and I like Mixon.
You like Moss and Mixon?
I liked what I saw out of Mixon last week. He looked better. They got into scoring range. They put him in near their goal line. That's when you're not talking about PPR, I think that's where I lean Mixon over Cook, because Cook's going to get no goal line opportunities. It's either going to be Latavius Murray or Josh Allen. Mixon, you're going to get locked into goal line. And I think, that with Burrow not being in there, anytime they're at the 5 now, they're looking maybe more to run than do any pass plays. So that's why I lean Mixon and Moss.
Yeah, I think their touchdown upside is the highest out of this entire group.
Yeah,
Eckler stay away just because the spread around on the touches. So,
yeah.
And then Aaron Jones coming back. I mean, what do you think about Aaron Jones this week? It's a cake matchup against the Giants.
I can't trust him in his first game back. Earlier this year, when he came back, his first game back, I think he was like 7 rushes or something. He was on a snap count. I just got to see it first.
Yeah, and then we got Fields or Herbert today. Herbert going against Denver, and Fields going against Detroit. I think I go Fields over Herbert. Just what we've seen from Fields do on the ground against the Detroit defense. Every game he's played in the last 2 years, he's had over 100 yards rushing. That's a prop to look out for today. I got him like over 80. So, I go Fields just for that reason alone, higher rushing upside.
Yep, for sure. Nathan, last year against the Lions, he rushed for 132, 147. Earlier this year, he rushed for like 117. I think Fields is in for a big day.
Yeah, absolutely. Kazi, what's going on? Win or go home? Do I start JSN or Ridley in the flex? JSN or Ridley? I go Ridley. As we've seen, excuse me. What's his name is out? I can't think of his name right now. Help me out, Shane. Who got injured
Christian
last
Kirk
week?
is Christian Kirk.
Yes.
Yeah.
A sports hernia. He's out for the next couple of weeks. Ridley is going to be the guy that's going to be targeted. We're seeing that Trevor Lawrence. I have brain fog this morning. I can't think of anybody's name. Trevor Lawrence is going to play today, so I wouldn't worry about that. I go Ridley over JSN personally.
Yep, I do too. Two things. I like that Lawrence is probably going to. He's looking like he's going to play. He's going to be in the pocket. The other thing I'm concerned about, inversely, is there's a chance Geno Smith does not play in that game against San Francisco.
Is he trending not to play?
There's a chance he may not. He's got a groin injury that is really bothering him, and that's going to become a game time call. So it's a tough matchup either way. And now, plus with him not being 100%.
Yeah, he is trending in the wrong direction.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, there we go. All right. Sean, what's going on? DK or Reed, Henry or Cook, full PPR? DK or Reed? Man, if we just talked about Geno not playing, so I go Reed. Reed seems like the better option here. And then for Henry or Cook, Henry. I feel like Henry is the better play. He has more touchdown upside than Cook.
I like Cook. So
Cook over Henry?
I was doing a game preview this week for that Miami-Tennessee game. One of the things I found was when Tennessee had trailing or lost games by more than like 9 points or 8 points, Henry has been in single-digit fantasy scoring days. It's just a game script thing with him. And I feel like this is a game where Miami's up multiple touchdowns, and that's not a good thing for Henry.
Yeah, Henry's been elite lately. He's RB4 last week, RB10 the week before, 4 touchdowns in the last 2 games. But you're right, it's game script. Miami's going to go up. They're going to go up early, and that's going to force Tennessee to throw the ball a lot. So you make very good points. Cook seems like the better option there. We just got word Trevor Lawrence will play today. He is officially active. How crazy is that? You can suffer a high ankle sprain, and then you're back the next week. Crazy. Weather, Baltimore, drop Trucker for a weather kicker like Gay. Or Tucker. Talking about me, Trucker. I'm like, you gonna drop me? What? Drop Tucker for a weather kicker like Gay.
Probably weather-free kicker, yeah.
I mean, it's hard to drop, Tucker. He's the best kicker in the league. So, I don't know. I mean, for me, with kickers, I would still go Tucker, especially because of the weather. Like, if they're not throwing the ball and they're running it and they can't get into the red zone and they can't score touchdowns, maybe they kick more. And Tucker seems like a good enough kicker that can overcome that. So, I wouldn't worry about that. Shane, let me know if I'm speaking foolishly.
First of all, Casey, I applaud you for doing kicker analysis on your lineup, because I can appreciate the grind of that, and if there's bad weather or anything.
Yeah.
So a couple things that I was curious about, and I was wanting to look up. I had a feeling like Tucker's not been that great this year.
What's he at? Let's see.
But
I don't have him on any teams.
No, his last 2 weeks have been good. He has scored 10 and 11 points. So that is pretty good.
He's outside the top 10 so far this
Okay,
season.
so that's what I thought. I thought for the year he hadn't been that great.
He's the number 11.
Yeah, I
But
would
also,
say
the team is better. You know what I mean? They're not kicking a lot of field goals. They're scoring a lot of
right.
touchdowns. Like it's he was so good because the team had their struggles. Now that they have a much more efficient offense, they're scoring a lot more touchdowns. They don't need him to kick 66 yarders anymore. You know what I mean? So,
Yeah.
yeah, that's interesting. Something I was
I
not
think
aware
Casey.
of.
Here's my answer because this was I had a feeling also like Matt Gay has been good. So Matt Gay has been double-digit points in 4 out of his last 5 games. And so Casey, if you need a win to get in, I would probably weather would play a factor. I would make the switch to Gay. Earlier this week, we talked about Indianapolis had a good fantasy playoff schedule for their defense, but that you can apply that to Gay also. So his next games are he gets the Steelers at home next week, first round of the playoffs, indoors. So that's a good game. And then he'll be at Atlanta, second round of the playoffs. That's another good indoor game. Whereas Tucker, he'll be at Jacksonville. That's fine. But then the second week of the playoffs, Tucker would be at San Francisco. So I don't think the schedule. I think that the kickers' performance are similar. Gay's probably even been a little bit better lately. So if you
Let's
need a
find
win
out.
to get in, if you need a win to get in, I think the weather does play enough of a factor.
Matt Gay is the number 4 kicker on the season.
Well, there we go.
So by my rules of logic, he's a better kicker right now. Pick up Gay and don't look back.
Pick him up.
Pick him up. Absolutely. All right, Kazi. No worries about the weather in Cleveland. 17-mile-an-hour gusts, maybe rain or sleet. Very concerning. It is very concerning, especially with a quarterback that is coming back off an ankle sprain. He could be slipping and sliding out there. But for me, they're still going to throw the ball. And because of the connection you already have with Ridley, Zay Jones has been basically invisible. You know what I mean? So I still would go with Ridley over JSN. I mean, Geno doesn't look like he's going to play. Are you really going to trust Drew Lock with the number 3 wide receiver on the team? I don't know. That's where I'm at.
Yeah, that's my concern too. It's just I wish it was at the games were at the same time where you can know for sure, but there's just been some worrisome reports coming out about Geno and not playing, and yeah, I'm the same way. I can't trust Drew Lock playing.
No. So good luck, Kazi. Another question here from back pains around 30. I am over 30 and I do have back pains. So Romeo Dobbs, Javonte Williams, Ford, or Myers in the flex full PPR. And good morning to you as well. So between these, I like Javonte. I do like Javonte today. Going against the Chargers, I think he has a good chance of scoring a touchdown and having a good fantasy day. But for me, that Javonte's for sure in. And then it's between Dobbs and Ford. Do we go Dobbs? What do you think?
Yeah, I'm with you. I like Javonte. Any matchup I can get against the Chargers, I'm taking it.
Yeah.
For sure. And then with it being full PPR and Christian Watson out and the Giants matchup, I probably would lean Dobbs. If last week hadn't happened and we saw Kareem Hunt getting, I think, 6 more carries, he jumped back to getting more carries than Ford. I would, if we hadn't seen that happen, I'd probably say Ford because the matchup's pretty good for Ford also against Jacksonville. But not knowing kind of if that's going to continue this week makes me lean Dobbs over Ford.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. Anybody else have any questions? Feel free to jump in. We are at the end of the list over here. So, all right. I have a question here. A buddy of mine has a great team. I need to start 2 running backs, Jahmyr Gibbs, Travis Etienne, Kyron Williams, or Javonte Williams, the 2 Williams brothers.
So we have Gibbs,
Gibbs, ETN battling that rib injury. He is active. He is going to play, although he is dealing with that rib injury.
Yeah.
Kyron Williams going against the Browns. Tough. Javonte Williams, we just talked about, going against the Chargers.
I like Javonte for sure. I'm going to rule out Gibbs. I just think this is more a Montgomery game than a Gibbs game. Boy, it's tough between ETN and Kyron.
I know.
That's a tough one. I'm probably leaning Kyron, full health. They're both playing tough defenses. Kyron's been the more productive back, though, in the last 2 weeks than ETN. So
Kyron. What was he had a tough matchup last week? Who did he play last week?
He was going against the Browns, and he scored
he had 20 fantasy points against the Browns.
So
to me, going against Baltimore, it's like, does it get much worse than Cleveland for a running back? I mean, Baltimore's bad as well, but we just saw what he did against a bad matchup. So that's why I'm leaning. So I have currently in Gibbs, ETN, and Kyron, but Javonte's sitting there on the bench, and he's so intriguing because of the good matchup.
Yeah.
So I think I'm going to go with Javonte, ETN, and Kyron, and leave Gibbs on the bench.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. I got a follow-up question with that as well. Just in a second here, we got a baby stay flow, baby. Goff or Herbert? Would you start today? Goff or Herbert? Goff going against the Bears. Herbert going against who did we say?
Broncos.
The Broncos. So Goff has the better matchup. The Bears defense has been better, but they're still gettable, although he is on the road. Herbert has been completely untrustworthy because of the surrounding pieces and the coaches. I think I go Goff over Herbert.
Yeah, I think I am. I'm there too. I mean, I haven't seen any bad weather for that in Chicago. So
Chicago's decent weather. Okay.
No, so given that, I'm not as there was this narrative about road golf, but he's had good games on the road now this year. I mean, it's he just got so many offensive weapons, and it's unlike Herbert, who has just one person. So
That's a great point.
I like
Goff. Goff could be looking for redemption. He had a terrible game against the Bears. They ended up winning in the last 4 minutes, but not in a good fashion. He threw 3 interceptions. So, and then the Bears, they have 7 picks in the last 2 games. Wow. Interesting. 7 picks in the last 2 games, allowing the least amount of rushing yards per game. Bears defense is humming right now. Yeah. And they're at home. So I don't know, man. This is going to be tough. But yeah, I go Goff over Herbert. Sorry to get sidetracked. Just talking about my Bears. All right. So follow up with the question I just asked you, Shane. We just talked about Gibbs, ETN, Kyron, and Javonte. So going with Kyron, Javonte, and ETN, one of them are in my flex, but I also have Zay Flowers, Puka Nacua on the bench. Do any of those, do Zay Flowers or Puka Nacua interest you over, say, a Javonte, Kyron, or ETN?
I don't think so. I maybe it's just me, and maybe I'm overrating this weather game. But if it is a real rainstorm, I don't know how much I like the receiving passing games going in that game.
Yeah, very true. And we haven't really seen bad weather games yet this season, right? No. It's been like 13 weeks, and every game has been halfway decent, Yeah. All right, we got another question from Back Pains 30. Chicka. Colts or Houston defense for streaming today. We talked about, Shane, why don't you go ahead and talk about it? I know you talked about both of these defenses looking ahead at their playoff schedule as well. And I think we all liked the Colts over Houston. Is that correct?
I would say Back Pains, like if you can only pick up one, like it's a choice on the waiver wire just to pick up one, pick up the Colts because they've got the better schedule going forward. Like I just said, they've got the Bengals this week. They're at home against that awful Mitch Trubisky-led Pittsburgh Steelers defense next week. And then they get the Falcons and Desmond Ridder the following week. So if it's just picking up one to play, pick up the Colts. They both got good matchups this week.
Yeah.
So they're both on the road. So it's not like you can favor either one at home. But I think if you're picking up one and then just want to not have to play the streaming game the next week or a week after, go Colts.
Yeah. So as far as today goes, I would stream Houston over the Colts, stream the Texans over the Colts today. I like the Texans over the Colts this week. But also the Colts have, I think, the better schedule, as Shane just highlighted. So if you can pick up both of them, that's great. Or just don't pick up the Colts and plan on picking them up next week. Hopefully the rest of your league mates aren't watching this, and you'll be able to get the Colts. So Alex Payne, what's going on, buddy? Welcome in. T. Higgins or Calvin Ridley, full PPR must-win game. So we talked about Calvin Ridley in the tough weather game over there. He is the sole number one asset for Trevor Lawrence, who is dealing with that high ankle sprain. T. Higgins, what did T. Higgins do last week?
I just was looking up 3 for 36.
That's rough. Okay. You have a quarterback that played well. He played very well, almost 400 yards passing. I think he had like 370, right? Browning.
Mm-hmm.
And T. Higgins got only 30 yards. It's very concerning. How's the weather in that game? Do you know, Shane?
So that game's supposed to be fine.
Okay.
We say that was a bad game, yeah. And then I'm just looking here at Calvin Ridley last week versus the Bengals when he went 4 for 26.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to lead Higgins. I think you'll see. I had Ridley as a red light this week, and one of the reasons was sometimes losing the number one receiver like Kirk can be a bad thing for the number two receiver. So Ridley may either see exclusive like Denzel Ward coverage, or they may have bracketed coverage on Ridley because he's the main guy now. I like the matchup for the Bengals and versus the Colts. Weather free. I'm gonna even though he's the second option, I'm gonna go Higgins.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Wide receiver 47 last week. That's rough. So
yeah.
Better matchup this week though. The Jacksonville defense is really good. So hopefully Higgins can get it done for you. Must win game, man. Must win game. Thank you guys. I appreciate it. Good luck to y'all. Good luck to you, man. Good luck. Let us know how it goes. Tweet at us. You name it, man. All right, Henry, Vincent, what's going on, buddy? Welcome in. Start two. Garrett Wilson, Puka Nacua, Nico Collins, Brandon Ayuk. I love Brandon Ayuk this week. Seattle's allowing like the fourth most points to fantasy points to wide receivers. Brandon Ayuk, I think, has a great game. I had him on my green lights this week. Nico Collins, tough matchup against the Jets. It's going to be really hard to start him. Although Tank Dell is out, so Nico could get heavily targeted. 191 receiving yards last week is very interesting. And then you got Puka Nacua. We talked about that bad weather game. He did have the best game out of any Rams last week. And then Garrett Wilson somehow gets it done. But who's playing quarterback this week? Is it Zach Wilson?
Zach Wilson, yeah.
Yeah. So I'm going Ayuk, and I'm going Garrett Wilson. Where are you? Are you on Puka over Garrett?
I despite the weather, I think I'd probably lean Puka over Garrett, but it's close. So Henry, if it's close, Nico for sure is a bench for me. Kind of the same thing I was just talking about Christian Kirk. No Tank Dell means he's going to be exclusively covered by Sauce Gardner all day. That's probably one of the worst. That's a worst weather game because they're going to have high winds and rain in that game, gusts of up to 30 at some point in time. They said,
yeah.
So I'm probably leaning Puka Ayuk.
Yeah, I'm cool with that. It's close between Garrett Wilson and Puka. Garrett Wilson's the better talent, but Puka, as we saw last week, he's able to get it done after some concerning weeks. So. Thanks, guys. Yep. Thank you, man. Thank you for your question. We will also be here throughout the playoffs. So every Sunday, 10 a.m. until the after the championship game, we will be here answering questions for you guys, helping you guys win a championship. So come on back and ask them again next week. Anybody else got any questions out there? Feel free to chime in. Any questions at all? Do you have? So you said you have some questions about your lineup, Shane.
I do. So this is one league that's still kind of iffy about making the playoffs. So this is going to be a multi-layer question. So
I love
it. Okay, so running back 2 position is going to either be Clyde Edwards-Helaire, who I just plucked up off the waiver wire, playing the Bills.
Nice.
Or Chuba Hubbard at New Orleans, coming off of 25 carry game, but facing a decent Saints defense against the run.
So just between those two?
Just for now, yeah.
Okay.
For running back 2.
I know you said multi-layered. I was waiting for the other layers.
Because the one you don't choose is going to become a flex option too.
Okay. Fair enough. Man. Chuba Hubbard is so interesting because of the usage last week, right? We have a new a new system in place. Yeah. They're trying to develop a new system, and they know that Chuba Hubbard is the guy. He was able to get it done last week, 25 carries. Saints defense is good, and it's in the Superdome, right?
It is.
Yeah, that's tough. And who was the first guy? Remind me.
So it's Clyde Edwards-Helaire versus Hubbard.
Yeah. I'd go Clyde. It's a better matchup. He could come in and take advantage of the carries. They could be feeding him a lot, especially because they haven't been having success throwing the ball. We could see a lot of Clyde today, and I think Clyde sees more opportunities. Would you say so or no?
I think so in this first game. I think so.
Yeah.
I have a feeling that he's going to get more. He'll definitely, I think if they get near the end zone, as long as it's not a third down, he should be in there.
Yeah, put it this way. When in times like this, when deciding, you go with the better team. More scoring opportunities. You got the Chiefs, and this Bills game should be an absolute shootout. Should be an absolute shootout. How can you trust a Panthers player?
No.
They've only won one game. Yeah, he had a good game last week. That's the only reason he's in consideration. If he didn't have that game, this wouldn't even be a question, right?
Nope.
So I just go with Clyde and don't look back.
All right, you're 1 for 1. That's who I had in. So confirmation, good, check.
All
right. Now for wide receiver 2 spot.
Okay.
Both have we just talked about it. Both have tough matchups. Nico Collins or Calvin Ridley.
Oh.
I know.
I don't think Nico Collins is good enough to overcome the shutdown defense of Sauce Gardner. You know what I mean? He's just Nico Collins is a good wide receiver, but he's not a great wide receiver. So, I think I'll go Calvin Ridley. That's tough. I love Nico. I love the Texans. I still think that the Texans are going to win this game. How they win it, I have no idea.
Yeah.
But they're going to win this game. CJ Stroud is good enough to overcome this defense. But is it going to be through Noah Brown? Noah Brown seems like he's going to play. You know what I mean? So I don't know. I think I go Calvin Ridley over Nico Collins.
Okay, so then now that this is the third layer.
Is it Nico Collins or
Hubbard for flex? Flex.
Oh my God, Nico Collins or Chuba Hubbard for the flex.
I really wish Hubbard was a factor in the passing game. It would help out his PPR.
Well, that would if he's able to get 25 carries and another 6 targets, absolutely.
But I don't know if he got last week he got 0 targets, 0 receptions. Now 2 weeks ago he did get 5 targets and 5 receptions.
Yeah.
So, they both are going to have limited touchdown scoring opportunities, don't you think? I don't think either team's going to score a bunch of points.
Yeah. All right. I would go Nico Collins, and here's why.
Oh, can
I
I
like
throw
the
it? Can I
Texans
throw
more
a
than I like
monkey
the
wrench?
Panthers.
Here, let me throw a monkey
Please
wrench into
do.
this because
Throw a monkey wrench
I
at my
shouldn't have done
face.
this. I shouldn't even done this, but I was just looking at the waiver wire.
Okay.
There is Romeo
Who's on
Dobbs
the
on the waiver wire.
Romeo Dobbs on the wire?
Yeah.
I think I'd play Romeo Dobbs over both of them.
Okay. Maybe pick him
Yeah.
up and throw him in the flex.
Yeah, pick him up, throw him in. Here's the thing. I think Jordan Love throws 3 touchdowns in this game. Like he's done pretty regularly throughout the last 5 weeks. He's been throwing a lot of touchdowns, looking really good. I like the matchup. It's a primetime game. I like having players in the primetime games, especially after the Sunday slate.
Okay.
I think I go Dobbs over Nico Collins and Hubbard.
Okay, so I've got Dobbs in the flex now. Ridley's still in the wide receiver 2 spot because I just have to start a second. It's either him or Nico. So
Ridley or Nico, yeah. Okay. I got a question here from Baby Stay Flow. Is it safe to bench Mostert today and start Josh Jacobs, Kyron Williams, and David Montgomery? I think so, but Shane, do you have any analysis on this? Because for me, it's Devon Achane looks really, really good. He's going to be scoring the touchdowns, although Mostert still might be able to sneak one in. I like Montgomery this week. Kyron Williams is great despite a bad matchup. But with Miami going to be up so early on Tennessee can hardly score points. Miami's defense is really good. Are they going to go up early and then just run out the clock with Mostert and Achane? You can't give Achane all these carries. You're going to have to give Mostert at least 10 to 12, right?
Yeah. So when I was writing up this game for preview, Mostert has there's only been one game this year when Mostert has not scored a touchdown.
Only one game?
Only one game where he hasn't scored a touchdown, which is pretty amazing. So he scored, I think, 5 in his last 4. I cannot bench Mostert. If Mostert and Achane, I don't think you can bench them. They'd both be probably in my top 7, top 8 ranked running backs. I think there's enough. They're going to be leading. There's enough rush volume for both backs. I think Mostert, if he gets 13 carries, he probably goes for 70 yards and 1 or 2 scores.
Okay. Now, the other question is who you sitting. Josh Jacobs has a great matchup against the Packers. Packers' run defense is trash. Kyron Williams is great even despite a bad matchup. And Montgomery seems like the running back you want to own for this Bears defense. But, however, this Bears defense is top tier against the run. That's tough.
Josh Jacobs has got the Vikings, right? So that's
no, Josh Jacobs has
he's got the Vikings.
I thought he's got Green Bay, doesn't he?
No, no, that's the Giants.
Oh, yeah. My mistake.
So I was gonna look up real quick. I want to say Minnesota's not bad. Minnesota in the last 3 games, Minnesota has given up only 76 rushing yards a game.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
So you're sitting Josh Jacobs for Mostert.
I would start Mostert over all those guys. I would start him over all of those.
Okay. All right. So who are you sitting though?
I would sit. Oh, so he's going to start. So he needs to sit 1.
Yeah. Yes.
Sorry. I'd probably sit. That's a tough one.
Kyron has the worst matchup.
He does. But man, he's been too good. He's on. Kyron just gets also. He's getting like 98% of the running back touches
and a ton of targets.
Yeah, part of me wants to set Montgomery, honestly, but I don't know. Maybe I don't have a strong feeling on the sick guy. I just have a strong feeling on who to play, and that's Mostert.
Okay. I'll just sit Josh Jacobs.
Okay.
That's what I'll say. Start Mostert, Kyron, Montgomery, sit Josh Jacobs, and don't look back. Just make the decision and ride with it. We're rooting for you, baby. Stay flow.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you very much. All right, yeah. So I have to start Deontay Foreman in the league. Shane, it's not good. I lost out on Kyrie or on why can't I think of his name? Isaiah Pacheco. And this is a deep league, so Clyde Edwards-Helaire was already rostered. Jerick McKinnon already rostered. And I am stuck now with Deontay Foreman. Not happy about it.
Ouch.
But here's my question. And this is a tough one. I currently have on my bench Gabe Davis, Brandon Cooks, and Jake Ferguson.
Okay.
I have them on my bench.
Okay.
I have in my lineup DeAndre Hopkins and Cooper Kupp.
Okay.
And Nico Collins.
Okay.
So should I be starting Gabe Davis, Brandon Cooks, Jake Ferguson? These are all like flexible spots. And I love the matchup that the Charger or the Cowboys have against Philly's pass defense. So I do like Brandon Cooks this week. I like Jake Ferguson this week. Cooper Kupp, DeAndre Hopkins, and Nico Collins. What am I doing?
I think honestly I would start Brandon Cooks over Cooper Kupp.
Brandon Cooks over Cooper Kupp.
I don't think Cooper Kupp is 100%. He got a touchdown last week, but it was a goal line throw. He still didn't put up very many yards or very many catches. Cooks, this is going to be a high-scoring game. Dallas has figured out a way to find Cooks and utilize him with all of the coverage tilting to Lamb. You got to find a way for sure for Cooks to get in your lineup. And I think Kupp would be the guy I replace him with. Hopkins, I like that he got 12 targets last week. He got the score. I was sure thinking that game he is going to be thrown a lot of balls with them trailing by double-digit points for most of that game.
For this, for Hopkins getting a lot of targets today.
So, like, I feel like I'd start Hopkins over Kupp, but I feel like I would start Cooks over Kupp.
And Nico is in there as well.
I probably would keep Nico.
Gabe Davis, wide receiver 8 last time he played. 12 targets, 6 catches, 105 yards and a touchdown.
Oof. Yeah, so we've talked about it. I think Kulz has mentioned it before. Play Gabe Davis in high over-under totals, right? And that's going to be high-scoring games.
Yeah, that was also against Philly, though, who is a terrible pass defense. Kansas City's much better pass defense.
Yeah, I think you probably see Snead matched up on Diggs, which means I don't know who the other Kansas City corner is, but I know that whoever it was, he couldn't contain Christian Watson last week.
Yeah.
I don't think it's crazy. I don't think it's crazy to bench Nico Collins for Gabe Davis. But
I feel crazy doing it.
It does. It would take a lot of what to do, but
here's the thing, man. I this is playoff start this week for me in this league. It's a 2-week playoff. And okay. I'm down against it. I'm projected for a lower total. The guy had he had Deontay Johnson score 15 points. I'm already down because I have to start Deontay Foreman. Like I'm up against it.
Well, if you're asking me who has a potential for the bigger day, I'm going to say Gabe Davis over Nico Collins. I just don't think I just don't see this being a very high scoring game for the Jets and Houston in that game. Either side, I really don't. When you factor in the defenses they're playing, the weather, a lot of things just stacking up against it. It's going to be great weather in Kansas City. I just think you're probably looking. I think Collins, you're maxing out at, I'm going to say 10 to 12 PPR points. I see like he could go 5 for 60. And that's where you're going to max out.
Yeah.
I don't think, he's not going to give you the game that he did last week.
All right. So I'm starting Gabe Davis over Nico.
You can think about for sure, no matter what, get Cooks in the lineup.
Yeah. Cooks for Cup.
Yeah. Get Cooks in there for sure. And then you can let that stew a little bit longer before kickoff about Gabe Davis and Nico, because it is kind of a bold call to make. I'll admit.
It is. And Jake Ferguson's interesting as well. He scored 20 fantasy points last week in here.
And I think let me look real quick. I thought he had a decent game against the Eagles earlier in Philadelphia. So in Philadelphia,
10 targets, 7 catches, 91 yards, and a touchdown.
Oof. Yeah. Pretty good.
Yeah, it's really good. Yeah, I know. Oh, man. That's tough. I don't know where I'm going there. Like, would you start Jake Ferguson over Gabe Davis or Brandon Cooks?
Not over Cooks, for sure. I don't know. This is just my own gut feeling. I feel this is a high-scoring game that Gabe Davis usually can have big days in. Like I said, I think Ladarius Sneed matches up on Diggs all day. That leaves up the secondary corner on Gabe Davis. It's just a gut call. I feel like it's a bigger day for Gabe Davis. I kind of want to find a way to get any Chiefs Bills players in this game.
Yeah, it's a good call. That's a good call. All right. Well, that's all I got.
So what would you this will be a question my brother has. He's texted me, and if your options are Trevor Lawrence and his knee versus Joe Flacco in that same game.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
That is Trevor Lawrence or Joe Flacco. What are we even talking about? What are we doing? It's week 14. We're talking Trevor Lawrence or Joe freaking Flacco.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, my gosh.
But it's interesting, right? It's like, okay,
it's very interesting.
Lawrence
I almost
with his
want to
knee,
go Flacco over Trevor.
And he's playing against the better secondary.
Better matchup, fully healthy, a lot older.
He's got Cooper. He's got Cooper playing for him, so he's not down a weapon.
Yeah, and Elijah Moore looked good last week. Yeah, go footsteps, Flacco.
That's what I was leaning towards, which is crazy to think about. But
that's insane. That is absolutely insane.
Yeah, I told him, and this is my other reason, he has to win to get into the playoffs.
Yeah,
and I feel like you just don't want to take that chance where Lawrence gets sacked on the first or second play of the game and his day's over.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. And we've seen Trevor Lawrence have bad games a lot this week or this year so far,
Yep.
Chaka. Hey, guys, would you rather start Garrett Wilson or Calvin Ridley?
Jeez. I feel like we've talked about the same 4 wide receivers that we hate their matchups.
Nico Collins, Garrett Wilson, Calvin Ridley. What's going on? All right, full PPR. At least it's full PPR. And I would go Garrett Wilson over Calvin Ridley.
I would too.
Garrett Wilson's a much more talented wide receiver, and we've seen him somehow be able to get 9 catches for 80 yards in games where you thought he was going to have 2. So go Garrett Wilson over Calvin Ridley, even though Zach Wilson is throwing the ball and he's an incompetent quarterback.
Yeah, I'm just looking up before Wilson got benched, his 3 games prior before the benching, Garrett Wilson got 13, 13, and 14 targets. I don't think Ridley sniffs that amount of targets. So
no, especially in that terrible weather game. So yeah, rock Garrett Wilson and root for the Jets.
Yep.
Pray. Do your prayers before game time.
Mhm.
Pray to the fantasy gods. They are listening today. The fantasy gods are out there. They're watching, granting people some success. So we wish you the best.
Sounds like the fantasy gods are going to just be watching mostly the Jets-Texans game and the Browns-Jags game. For the
Yes, they
receivers
will.
we've
Those will
talked
be on
about.
the front screen for sure. For sure. I got a couple questions here. We got Dobbs or Browning.
Oh,
That one's interesting, huh?
that is interesting. I'm going to go
Browning. He had a great game last
He
week.
did have a good game. Matchups grew pretty good against the Colts. I think I'm going to lean Browning.
Yeah, me as well.
Crazy. At home. It's crazy, but he's at home. We've seen the Raiders play better defense with the coaching change.
Yeah.
And we saw Dobbs had a pretty bad game, right? His last game out there. So, yeah, Browning.
Yep. All right. Eckler or Montgomery?
I'm giving Eckler one more week, just if he can't do it against Denver.
Very true. Denver's run defense is subpar.
But this is the absolute last week. Like if he doesn't come through with a top 15 performance, then he's on the benches next week in week 1. But I'm giving him one more week.
Okay.
If that was like an Eckler versus Mostert, then I would say no. But with the Montgomery, I'd give him one more week.
Okay. All right. Josh Dobbs or Tommy DeVito?
Oh,
The Italian stallion.
I'm gonna go Dobbs there. I'm not gonna trust DeVito. I don't care if it's a home game. What he's done the last couple of weeks, I can't go that far down on Dobbs.
Okay, fair enough. Nico Collins or Jerome Ford?
Oh,
Jerome Ford against Jacksonville, Nico Collins against the Jets.
No, I'm going to go Ford.
Ford over Nico.
I'm going to go Ford. Jacksonville's not very good against the running backs. Ford was involved in the passing game, which we said, and with Flacco starting, I think he gets even more targets. I'm going to say there's more upside with Jerome Ford against Jacksonville than there is Nico Collins versus the Jets.
I need you to do me a favor. After the show, put in our Slack. Like, hey, Kulz, I think we need to go. I think you guys should be starting Jerome Ford over Nico Collins. Because if I mention it, he's going to be like, no, absolutely not. Absolutely not. But if it comes from you, he's going to listen. He's going to be like, okay, well, maybe he's on to something. Yeah, that's a tough one.
Yeah, because let me look. I mean, what were we talking about here? Jerome Ford last week, he still had 13 touches. He had the score, right? So he had a 14 fantasy points. He's been Jerome Ford 5 straight games in double-digit PPR fantasy points.
Yeah.
I mean, I think Nico, that is the best effort you're going to get from Nico is 12 to 13. That's the best game you could get.
Makes sense. Savan leg. What's going on? Savan leg. Sit 2, Puka, Flowers, Ridley, Reed, Chuba, CEH. All guys we've talked about, except really Flowers. We haven't really full PPR. Nice job. So sit 2 between Puka, Flowers, Ridley, Reed, and Chuba, CEH. Sitting Ridley. Starting Reed. I'm starting CEH. I'm starting Puka.
I think I'd go Puka over Flowers facing each other. Yes.
Yeah. So we're sitting Reed and Flowers.
That's where I was leaning. Yep.
Yeah, me as well. Although Flowers or Chuba is interesting.
Yeah. It's just if Chuba gets 20 plus carries again. Now that was a close game. They might be able to keep it close in New Orleans if Carr's struggling.
It was a close game last week. Yeah, they scored 18 points.
That helps. If they can keep it close, he definitely is going to get more touches than a Flowers or Ridley, I think. Like his carries, I mean, I don't think Ridley and Flowers, like they're probably going to max out at maybe 5-6 catches.
Flowers, wide receiver 6 last game against the Chargers.
Yeah, one of that was, I believe, a rushing touchdown, if I remember.
He did have a rushing 37-yard rushing touchdown and a receiving touchdown. So 2 touchdowns game.
2 touchdowns.
8 targets, but it was also against the Chargers.
Yeah.
Taking into consideration the bad team. It was his best week of the season. Last game he played. His best game of his career. Right?
Yeah.
So
I think that our first intuition is right. I think benching Flowers, Ridley.
Flowers and Ridley. Okay. Sit those 2. Flowers, Ridley. That was our original inclination. All right, let's see. What else? Real quick. Adam Thielen or Jaden Reed? Sitting Ridley and CEH too risky and must-win game. Yeah, definitely Ridley. CEH, that's the thing. This game, we both expect it to be very high scoring. We want pieces in this chart in this Chiefs-Bills game. Getting the number 1 running back for the Chiefs, who have been running the ball very well lately, but also Pacheco is a better running back than CEH. So I understand it's too risky. Flowers has not been good outside of the last game he played. He was like, consistently in like the 20s, 30s range. Flowers is definitely risky as well. So there's a lot of risk in a lot of those players that you mentioned. Yeah. I would go with CEH because of the high scoring game, because the team leans on the run a lot more than they have been in the past. And CEH catches the ball out of the backfield too. It's not just going to be Jerick McKinnon. So
yeah, Buffalo's given up 125 yards rushing their last 3 games. So you can run on Buffalo.
Yeah. Yeah, I know it's risky. You got to take chances here. And yeah. Appreciate the help. Thank you. You're welcome. Thank you. Savon Leg. All right, so back to my question. Jaden Reed or Adam Thielen? Adam Thielen taking on the Saints. Tough matchup. Jaden Reed taking on the Giants. Easy matchup.
I think I don't know why. I don't know what it is. I don't know what's going on with Thielen and that offense. Like, I don't understand the lack of targets, the lack of and his involvement in the passing game over the last 3 weeks after he was just smashing the first 10 weeks.
Yeah, it makes no sense. The first 6, the back 6, the bye week is like the tale of 2 halves.
Yeah. I mean, I guess so in that case, I'm going to lean to the guy who's just the last 3 weeks. I mean, follow the trend line. It's getting the better fantasy production, and that's Reed. So 2 touchdowns in his last 4 games.
Three touchdowns because
3 touchdowns. The rushing, you're right. Yeah. Not a good game last week versus the Chiefs, but that's the Chiefs, and that was more of a Watson game, and now Watson's out.
Yeah, we're going Reed.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like it. All right. Anybody out there have any last questions? We're going to be wrapping up soon. Feel free to chime in at any point. Just double checking some last minute things. Kulz got on me last week because I was looking over our lineups and we left in Dalton Schultz.
Oh, when he was
out. And he's like, dude, you just not check. I'm like, dude, Shane and I were talking about every lineup. Okay. And for some reason, I was just looking at the running backs, wide receivers, and flexes. So, yeah, we're rocking Tanner Hudson this week in the tight end spot. We have Schultz and Andrews both out with injury. Dulcich as well. He never even got a chance to play this season. But the other tight ends that are available, there was one, I believe, Juwan Johnson. Do you like Juwan Johnson over Tanner Hudson?
So it's interesting. So Hill's been ruled out.
Taysom Hill out.
Is ruled out for today.
Yeah, I feel like we need to pick up Juwan Johnson and play him.
Juwan could be sneaky. Like, do we see more short area throws and targets to like Juwan Johnson with Carr kind of limited since Carr's playing in that game?
Yeah.
I kind of think you might, right? Like it
Yeah.
may be a high PPR floor game for him where he gets 6-7 catches. It may only turn into 30 or 40 yards, but
yeah.
Honestly, and I don't know, I'm not familiar I can't recall what Hudson's done his last game or two.
I'll pull it up right here. Tanner Hudson, 4 targets, 5 targets, 4 targets in the last 3 games, all 4 catches, 49 yards, 18 yards, 35 yards. It's been his best finishes were 2 back-to-back tight end 12 finishes. I think we go Juwan.
I like Juwan as a sneaky play.
Yeah, and then I got to drop someone. I don't want to drop Jalen Tolbert because Kulz has a special love for Jalen Tolbert. So it looks like we're going to have to drop Tanner Hudson for Juwan Johnson.
Yeah, that's safe to do. Yeah. You could do that. Be fine.
Yeah. Okay, we got a quick question here. Flex Jerome Ford or Garrett Wilson? Jerome Ford or Garrett Wilson? What do you think?
If this is a PPR league, I would probably go Wilson. Maybe he gets, like I said, when he's had Zach Wilson in there, he's had double-digit targets. So I think he could get to 7 catches in this game. So if he could get 50 yards, you're looking at maybe a 12-point PPR floor. But if it's not a PPR, I mean, then I'd probably lean forward.
Yeah, I would as well. I like Garrett Wilson, but it has to be a PPR league. If it's standard, you got to go forward. But
Yep.
Ace Sports, welcome in. CJ Stroud or Josh Dobbs? This is a phenomenal question.
That is a good, tough one.
That's a good one. Josh Dobbs taking on the Raiders or CJ Stroud taking on the Jets. The Jets have been shutting down quarterbacks. This is hard because you don't want to look too much into matchups. Sometimes you just go with the better player, even in a tough matchup. I think CJ Stroud still has a serviceable fantasy day. And Josh Dobbs was almost benched. Like the last game he threw for 4 interceptions against Chicago. The week before that, he was the quarterback 14. But then those 3 games prior to that, quarterback 3, quarterback 5, quarterback 7. The Raiders are a better matchup. I think we go Josh Dobbs. I feel like I contradicted myself in that entire analysis.
So I'm going Dobbs too. And the more I thought about it, it is, he got a couple things going for him. So Stroud, I remember distinctly 2 weeks ago, the Jets held Tua to under 10 fantasy points in that game in New York. And that was Tua and the Dolphins. Now if they can do that to that offense, I think they could certainly do that against CJ Stroud in a game where it's rainy and very windy.
Without Tank Dell.
And now you get Josh Dobbs in a indoor game against the Raiders. Maybe he gets back to using his legs more. I think it's crazy. I think I go Dobbs over Stroud, and he would probably be a spot or 2 ranked ahead of him.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. Ace Sports, hopefully we helped you out there. All right. Like I said, we got any other questions, feel free to chime in right now and let us know before we sign off. We're going to be signing off here in a couple minutes. So, Shane, what's your favorite matchup this week? Is that Cowboys Eagles? You're looking forward to that at home in Dallas?
Yeah, it is. It's interesting. I obviously want them to win, the Cowboys to win, but it's not a horrible thing if they don't win, because even if the Cowboys win tonight, they're probably most likely not going to win the division just because Philly has to play the Giants and Arizona left on their remaining 3 games, where Dallas has got to go to Buffalo, Miami. I just want Dallas to finish in that 5 spot if they're not winning the division, because then they play the NFC South winner in the playoffs. So they'd play the Saints, or they'd play the Buccaneers, or they play the Falcons. So it's not horrible if they don't win it. So.
All right, well, let's roll through our Pick'em League. I forgot to make my selection for that Patriots-Steelers game. I think subconsciously I just wanted to disregard it. But I would have picked the Steelers. So got that wrong either way. So how about this Falcons-Buccaneers game? It's in Atlanta. Who do you like there?
I've got the Falcons.
Okay. A Sports, real quick. Mostert, A-Chain, or Saquon Barkley. If you're picking one, I love Saquon Barkley this week. However, A-Chan is so good, and they're going to be running the ball a lot. I feel like A-Chan has the better upside because the team is better, more scoring opportunities. Although the Packers' rush defense is awful, so I'm personally going A-Chan highest upside, but I love Saquon Barkley, so it's between A-Chan and Barkley for me. Shane, who do you like between A-Chan or Barkley?
I'd go A-Chan, and it'd be probably in that order: A-Chan, Barkley, then Mostert.
Definitely. Yeah, I love Barkley's matchup. I think he has a great game, but I think A-Chain's a little bit better. He has a better game. So good luck, Ace. May the fantasy gods be on your side. I'm going Falcons as well. The Buccaneers are they're a bad team. Tough to trust. The Falcons have been playing very well lately. It's at home. The defense has been playing good. Bijan Robinson has been getting a lot of carries. So, yeah, I like the Falcons. Who do you got in the Bears-Lions matchup in Chicago?
I have the Lions.
Yeah, I currently have the Bears selected. But I do think the Lions win this game. I think they got kind of embarrassed last time they played the Bears. They didn't play well. The Bears basically won that game through 3 quarters.
They did, yep.
So, and you're not going to see Jared Goff throw another 3 interceptions. You know what I mean? You're just not going to see that. And the reason why the game was like that is because of those turnovers. So I think the Bears have had a lot of turnovers in the last 2 games. And I think that kind of the statistical way of looking at it is they have a regression back to the mean as far as turnovers go. So, yeah, Lions are going to win the game, as painful as that is. And then we got the Colts-Bengals, kind of a pick 'em here. Who do you like between the Bengals at home or the Colts, who have a better record, 7-5? Bengals are 6-6. Cincinnati played well, but can they beat the Colts at home?
Yeah, this was a tough one for me, and it really is a coin flip. But I went Bengals. I don't know, just because of what I saw against Jacksonville, it impressed me enough to take them at home.
Yeah. James Walsh, PPR, 2 wide receiver, 1 running back, 1 flex. Nico Collins. Oh God, more Nico Collins. We should have made him the on the graphic. Chase, Jamar Chase, Deebo Samuel, Zach Moss, David Montgomery, Joe Mixon. So between that, let's just pick 2 wide receivers to lock in. To me, it's easy. Deebo and Chase.
Easy, yep.
Okay, Deebo and Chase are locked in. Your wide receiver 1 and 2.
Yep.
Running back is going to be, for me, between Zach Moss, Montgomery, and Mixon. I'm going Zach Moss. As crazy as that is, I like Montgomery, but I don't think he rushes for many yards. I do think he scores a touchdown. I think Zach Moss ends up with the most yards out of all 3 of them, personally. But Mixon, we saw, is very trusted in the goal line. That team played well. So you help me out here. You like Moss, Montgomery, or Mixon? I think I might be on an island with Moss.
I like Mixon in there. So I put Mixon in the RB, and then you could go Moss and flex.
Oh, yeah, because the next flex would be Nico, Moss, or Montgomery.
Yeah. I mean, here's what to remember about Moss last week. He didn't end up with a great fantasy day, but he got a ton of touches.
19 touches.
They tried multiple times to get him a score. I mean, he was just a yard away, probably 2 or 3 times from scoring. So they give him the ball near the goal line a lot.
Yeah. Yeah, they do. All right. Hopefully that helps you out there. Pittman, A Sports. Pittman, Saquon, Waddle, or Bijan for the flex. Love Pittman. Pittman is just, how do you sit Pittman after the games he's been having? So I think it's surefire Pittman for me.
Yeah, as long as this is a PPR league or any form of PPR, Pittman is the guy for sure.
Yeah, I love Saquon, though. It's so hard not to play him, but the team, I think the Colts are better than the Giants right now.
Yeah.
So go Pittman, and of course, don't look back. All right, I think I'm going Colts over the Bengals. I think the Colts are the better team. The majority of the picks are on the Bengals, 53% over 47%. And I think the Colts have a way to win this game. I like them this week. All right, Browns, Jags. Jags are 8-4 going into Cleveland. Cleveland 7-5. We talked about the bad weather. A Sports. It is PPR. Okay, yeah, definitely Pittman.
Pittman he brings you such a high floor in PPR, and then plus you get that high ceiling that he gave you last week with the touchdowns and the yard.
Definitely. So Jags, Browns, who do you like in this game?
So I just, as of 10 seconds ago, I changed my pick from Browns to Jags.
Okay. All right.
I thought with Lawrence not playing, I had Browns, but with Lawrence playing, I think he can do enough to keep them in it enough to win it at the end, maybe.
In it enough to win it. I like it. The Jags are the better team at full health. Yeah, Jags makes sense. Saints, Panthers. Panthers 1-11, only won one game. Saints 5-7. It's in New Orleans. How do you not pick the Saints here? You know.
Yep.
I
got Saints.
riding the Saints, and the Panthers are gonna lose yet again. Texans, Jets. Texans 7-5 going into Jersey to take on the Jets. They're 4-8. Who do you like?
I think you said it earlier. Like, I don't know how they do it, but Houston wins it. We don't like really any of their offensive players, fair fantasy, but somehow they win this game.
You're saying the Texans?
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. The Texans are going to win the game. They're going to find out. Like I said, one way or another, they're going to win.
Yeah.
Rams, Ravens. It's in Baltimore. How do the Ravens possibly lose this game?
They don't.
That's correct. We're rocking with the Ravens. And then we got the Vikings and the Raiders. Are the Vikings going to be able to go into Vegas and beat the Raiders? Vikings are 6-6. Raiders are 5-7. I think they do. They just coming off a loss to the Bears.
Yep, I do too.
Right?
I think it's a sneaky. I think you see a bounce back games from Dobbs. So yeah.
Yeah. We got a question here from A Sports. Another one: Gus Edwards or CEH non-PPR? Non-PPR. I go Gus Edwards over CEH in a non-PPR format.
I do too. I think with this rainy, wet game, I think this is a Gus Edwards smash game more than Keaton Mitchell.
Yeah, definitely. You can see multiple touchdowns from Gus,
yep.
Which I don't think you're going to be able to see from CEH. So good luck there. All right, so we're both going Vikings over Raiders. Do you like the Seahawks or the 49ers?
Yep.
49ers. That's easy. How about this one? Bills, Chiefs. Bills 6-6. Chiefs 8-4. It's in Kansas City in the Red Kingdom. You rocking Chiefs or Bills?
Definitely Chiefs. They're not losing 2 in a row.
I think they do. I think they lose 2 in a row here. I think the Bills need to win this game. It's a must-win for Buffalo. The Chiefs have looked bad. They've just looked really, really bad. And I think they lose 2 in a row.
Okay,
I'm taking the Bills.
Taking the Bills. All right.
Yeah, I'm taking the Bills. We got a question here from Connor. Connor, welcome in. Jets or Browns defense? Jets taking on Texans. Browns taking on the
Jaguars.
Jags. I'm going Browns.
Me too. Yep.
Simply because Trevor's dealing with that ankle injury. He's going to play. There's no
Christian Kirk.
Christian Kirk, yeah. That name is just not in my brain today. I just cannot seem to think of that name, but
yeah,
probably because he's injured for the rest of the fantasy season. So forget about
Yeah.
it. But yeah, go Browns over Jets. Both great options, though. All right, Chargers Broncos. This is an interesting one. It's in LA. Broncos are 6-6. Chargers 5-7. Do the Broncos come in and beat the Chargers, who just won a terrible game? Terrible game.
I don't feel good about it at all, but I'm taking the Chargers.
That I want to say Chargers. I really do, but I
It's-
think the Broncos can win the game.
Yeah, I don't feel good about it at all.
Yeah.
But
No Kirk, but no Tank Dell as well. Yes, that is correct. That is correct.
yeah, I think my thought is, Connor, like for some reason we talked, well, how does the Texans win that game? I think they lean on the run game more. I think they give Singletary and Pierce a lot more carries than normal, knowing they don't got to score a lot of points, so they don't put Stroud in a bad position where he's throwing the ball much. So kind of going to limit their turnovers. And with Lawrence being gimpy, not being able to move around the pocket, for some reason, I think the Browns end up with more sacks, possibly more turnovers, and that's how kind of I lean.
Yeah, and the way to beat the Jets is on the ground. They let up some rushing. You can run on them. So, yeah, that's the reasoning behind that. A Sports, another one. Jaden Reed, Cortland Sutton, and DJ Moore. Pick two. For me, it is DJ Moore and Cortland Sutton.
Yep.
Sutton's just a touchdown machine. DJ Moore is a great wide receiver, and he gets it done. So I'm going Sutton and Moore. You agree?
Yeah, Sutton is a smash spot against the Chargers secondary. And DJ Moore, as long as Fields is at quarterback, he's a must start.
Yes, absolutely. Connor, thank you. No, thank you, buddy. Thank you. We appreciate your question here on a Sunday morning. Getting ready for kickoff. We got 37 minutes until kickoff. So, all right. So I'm going Broncos. You're going Chargers. That's a toss-up. I think the Broncos can win it. And then we got the Eagles versus the Cowboys. Tough game. It's in Dallas. I'm rocking with the Cowboys. I think the Cowboys win this game. Do you have confidence in your team to win this game at home against the Eagles?
So when it's a toss-up game with my Cowboys, like part of me always goes like we'll pick the Eagles. So it's if they lose, then at least it's something positive I get out of the loss.
you're hedging.
Hedging.
You're hedging there.
That's right. But also, like, I don't know. I think the stat I saw was Jalen Hurts hasn't lost consecutive games in like over a year and a half or something. And then there's that factor of like when a really good team, which the Eagles are a good team, when they just get embarrassed the week prior, usually they bounce back with a pretty good win. And so all those factors I have the Eagles selected.
Really?
Yep.
The Cowboys lost on a game of inches last time, and it was in Philly. It was in Philly, and they should have won that game. So I think being in Dallas, I think this is a chance for the Cowboys to possibly win the division as well. If they win this game, they will both be 10-3. Like that, this is huge for the Cowboys, and they've been playing really, really well. So yes, the odds are probably saying that the Eagles win because of the factors that you said. They don't lose two in a row. They got embarrassed last week, so they're going to bounce back tough. I think I still go with the Cowboys here.
You're finding this is the week to make up on me. I think we found 4 games.
Yeah, absolutely. Connor, start Moss over Breece Hall, 0.5 PPR. Oh, I think I still go Breece Hall. This guy has just been an animal in the passing game. He hasn't been doing much on the ground. He's got like 30 rushing yards, 40 rushing yards pretty consistently, but he's also getting like 8-9 targets. The guy's very active in the passing game, so I think I go Breece Hall over Zach Moss. Although I love Zach Moss this week, I think he gets 90+ yards on the ground, possibly a touchdown. But half-point PPR, I don't know if Zach Moss is going to catch a lot of balls. What do you think?
I'd go Moss. So just like Hall's fine, he's playing, but he did come in questionable with the ankle injury. He had that same injury last week. We saw a little bit more carries for Dalvin Cook last week, I think probably because of that. Hall's all of his big jump in targets and receptions have been with either Trevor Siemian or what's his face at quarterback dumping off passes quickly.
Yeah.
A lot more than what he was getting with Zach Wilson.
Yeah.
I think Moss gets put in more scoring opportunities than Breece Hall does. So that's how I lean Moss in that regard. And I think if it's half PPR, not full, it's not as big of a difference if Breece Hall does catch 5 or 6 balls.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm fine with Moss over Breece. I don't feel too strongly about Breece over Moss, but I love Moss this week. I've said it all day today. I think he does score a touchdown, get over 90 yards, so I'm totally fine with you going Moss over Breece. I'll switch over to Shane's side, so you have a little more confidence in this week. A Sports, Dobbs or Jordan Love? I'm going Jordan Love. I love Love. I love Love, especially this week against the Giants in prime time. Love has been dominant. I think he continues that with over 3 touchdowns in the air. So,
yep, for sure.
Give me Love over Dobbs. Connor, another question here. Half-point PPR, start 3. Flowers, Garrett Wilson, Jaden Reed, JSN, T. Higgins. Start 3. This is a great question.
So let's just rule out the easy one first. We're going to rule out JSN, right?
Yeah. JSN sitting. Geno Smith probably not going to play. He's trending in the wrong direction. I'm not going to be trusting Drew Lock for anything.
No.
And then T. Higgins, we talked about him earlier. We like this game. Think it's possible that he could score some points. We love Jaden Reed because Christian Watson's out. Garrett Wilson is able to get a ton of targets. So I'm going Garrett Wilson, Jaden Reed. And then the question for me is between Flowers and Higgins.
Yeah, I think I'm going to go. I don't remember who we were talking about Higgins against, but with this, I think there's a little more upside with Flowers. And maybe, the weather maybe not great, but maybe maybe he gets a couple more of those end around rushes like he did against the Chargers.
Some wide receiver screen passes
screen passes that he can break off. I just think there's probably more upside with Flowers.
Yeah, absolutely. And then one more here. We got Connor. Flex Moss or Hall over those wide receivers. So one of those. So the let's say Flowers, because that was our wide receiver 3. Would be his flex spot. Do you like Moss or Hall over Flowers? And I do. We talked about Moss over Hall. So let's go Moss over Flowers.
Yes, I would flex Moss. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I would flex Hall over
and
Flowers
Hall,
as well.
If you had both, I think so.
Yeah, so I like that. So you're starting. Well, let's say you're starting Moss. So would you flex Breece or Hall, or I'm sorry, Breece, Hall, or Flowers, and we would go Breece over Flowers?
I think so. Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
All right, there you go. All right, last couple games we're going to talk about here real quick before we sign off. It's about to be 11:30. This is our longest one we've done yet, but we're just getting peppered with questions. So
it's a tough week. But
this is crunch week. We're here for you guys, and all your questions. Icy Hype Blast. Hey guys, full PPR Cup or Ridley? Ooh.
That's a nasty one.
Cooper Kupp or Calvin Ridley? Oh, man. I think I go Ridley off the top of my head. And I don't feel great about it. Shane, do you feel great about one or the other?
No, I don't. So they're both ugly options. Like I would take Packers receivers over those guys.
Yeah, if Romeo Dobbs is on the waiver wire, Jaden Reed.
It's maybe a slight lean for Cooper Kupp, maybe just solely on the fact, I think what I said earlier, that Ridley maybe gets the sole attention of Denzel Ward and the Browns, and Kupp gets moved around enough that, maybe he can get enough. I mean, Kupp still had 6 catches last week, 8 targets. That's
Touchdown.
more than that's better. That's better than I thought, honestly. I didn't know he was up to 6 catches. The yards was not great, 39 yards, but the 6 catches was nice. So I probably lean Kupp slightly over Ridley.
Yeah. Okay. The Smitty pick 2, CEH Sutton Cup. I'm going Sutton and CEH.
Yep, me too.
Sutton and CEH over Cup. Another one from Ace Sports. You are peppering today. I love it. Rashad White. Jahmyr Gibbs, Achane, and ETN pick 2 PPR. It is Rashad White and Devon Achane.
Yep, I think it's easy. You got to love White's usage and production, and then Achane's upside is tremendous.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. The Smitty back again. 2 wide receivers to start. Nico Collins, DK Metcalf, Mike Evans, Brandon Ayuk. It's Mike Evans and Brandon Ayuk. 1,000%. Yep. Nico Collins, tough game, tough matchup there. DK, I'm not sure if we're going to have a good quarterback very much in that one with Drew Lock. So go Evans and Ayuk, and don't look back, these Smitty. Yep. Non-PPR for Ace Sports here. That changes things for me.
I don't know if it does for me, because your natural inkling is to say, that changes things for White, but his rushing volume has been pretty good
carries,
the last 2 weeks.
Carries, yeah.
So it's not like it was earlier in the year when all of his production was just in the receiving game.
Yeah.
So 20 and 15 carries. Even before that, 20 and 20 carries. So 15 or more carries in 4 out of his last 5 games.
Yeah.
For White.
Yeah, that makes sense. Stick with White and Achane.
Yeah, Achane still in his first game back, he was 17 carries.
Yeah. All right, Colts defense or Dolphins defense. Dolphins taking on the Titans, and we got the Colts taking on the Bengals.
You got to go Miami after what they've done the last 2 weeks. I think 2 straight weeks of defensive scores.
Yeah.
2 or 3 straight weeks, maybe.
Yeah, I think so. Jalen Ramsey is a beast, and this defense is really stepping up. So
I always take a home team that's going to be up big, so the other team is trailing and throwing a lot, which lends itself to more turnovers and sacks.
I got a question here from Kulzicki. Kulz is chiming in on via text message. Flowers or Garrett Wilson?
Oh my gosh! Tell them we've had enough of the Garrett Wilson and Flowers.
I'm texting back Garrett.
Yeah, I would too. I think it's like I said, like the target volume. I'm going to lean target volume, which he should have a higher amount of targets.
Yeah. We're going Garrett. All right. Well, all right. I would say any other questions, but we're trying to sign off here. So we appreciate everybody watching. We appreciate everybody listening. Again, this episode is brought to you by Rule One Proteins. Go to www.rule1proteins.com. Enter promo code ROADIES40 at checkout for 40% off. That's ROADIES40. They got delicious whey protein. They got anything, you name it, multivitamins, amino acids. Go check them out. They got delicious stuff. That's ROADIES40 at checkout for 40% off. Shane, thank you very much for joining me on a Sunday morning here. Good luck on all your matchups, and go Cowboys. Go Cowboys. All right, everybody. Thank you. Join us again next week at 10 a.m. on Sunday. And thanks, guys. Hey, thank you, buddy.
Yep.
Join us again. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, and click the bell for all of our future drops. Everybody out there, good luck, and may you all make the playoffs.